How's it going? My name is Dylan, and this is music@mascara.com. And today we're going to talk about kind of three main things that you got to have to start a podcast. And it's really super simple. So for a long time, podcasting was pretty confusing, and you had to know a bunch of stuff to make it happen. Thing is it's also one of the most powerful ways to get your voice or your ideas or your thoughts out into the world. We're going to talk about kind of three main things that you need, in my opinion, to start a podcast, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to do that. So first of all, let's talk about environment. You just want to have a nice quiet place that you can go and plug your microphone into your computer and just start talking. So in our house, that is a couple of places. I have my studio over there, but Leslie, she has her little desk here with a laptop and an extra screen that she uses for some other stuff. And she has the blue Snowball microphone, and she has it just plugged into her laptop, and she uses GarageBand. It's as simple as that. So let's look at exactly how she uses this setup to go from voice going into the microphone to voice going out into the world. All right, so once we've figured out where we're going to do our podcast, we've got that nice quiet place, then let's go ahead and actually record the audio. I use a Mac, so I use GarageBand. The cool part about GarageBand is even if you don't have a Mac, you can use it on an iPhone or an iPad, and it looks basically the same. Let's go ahead and go to our screen here, and we've opened it up. We've just opened up the program, and we can see that we can start a new project. So I pick voice because we're just going to talk. Okay, so now we have a track sitting there. You can see as I'm speaking into the blue Snowball that I have plugged into the USB port that it's sensing my voice, because you can see the green moving up and down, and that's a pretty good volume. And literally all we have to do is just go up here and we hit record. And as we talk, we can see that we are recording our voice. And of course, I don't have the microphone in the right place or anything, but as we speak, it's recording our voice, and we just say whatever we want to say for the length of our podcast. There we have it. That is the simplest form of creating a podcast that you could basically do. If we wanted to, then we could go in here and say, well, let's add. So we use the plus sign. Notice it says record using a microphone or line input, or drag an audio file in there. So we could drag in another track. So we put this right here. So we could drag right here where it says audio 2. We could put a little theme song before it, and then just play the theme song first and then start talking. We could do a couple of cool little things like that. Once we're done with our podcast, we've said everything we wanted to say, then what do we do with it? With GarageBand, the way we do it is we go up here to this top bar where it says share, and this is the way I would do it. This is the way we've been doing it around here. We do export song to disk, okay? We'll call this test podcast, okay? We are saving it to our downloads folder, which is fine, and it's called an MP3, and then we go ahead and we just hit export, and it goes through and it does its thing, okay? So now it's done. So let's go ahead and close out of GarageBand. Now the next thing we want to do after we have everything recorded is come over here to Anchor.fm. This is where our podcast is going to go out into the world. So let's go ahead and make our podcast now. I want to start a new podcast. What do we want to call this? Let's call this Test Podcast. We can upload an image. Now what I would do with this is make sure that it is the correct size, usually 1500 by 1500 or so. Put that in there so that it's got your face on it. Everybody knows who's talking to them, okay? We describe our podcast. We talk about the subject. We pick a category. All right. Now, once we've signed up for Anchor and we verified our email address and we've done all that sort of stuff, now we could come over here to our create your episode. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. Literally, you could bypass everything I told you and come straight here and just hit record with your blue Snowball and just record a podcast right there. But it doesn't really give you all the options of like putting in a theme song and playing with the sound a little bit and making it sound good. So that's why I say I like to use GarageBand or another program in front of it. But theoretically, you could just plug in a microphone, come here, hit record. So in our case, we would upload a file, and then we would go in there and name it and all that sort of stuff. Now here's the fun part about Anchor. Once we have everything in and we have an episode ready to go, then it'll ask us where we want to share that. And what it does is automatically where your podcast can be heard. And it gives you a whole bunch of options here where you can actually spread that podcast out into the world, and it automatically goes and shares your podcast with iTunes, with Pocket Cast, with Spotify, with Google, with all these places where it feels that your podcast would be a good fit. So it distributes your podcast for you automatically. Now, one thing I'll tell you, I am not sponsored by Anchor FM. They're not paying me nothing. I have no connection to them at all. I just really like how this works. And for somebody who's really beginning into podcasting, to me, this is a super simple way to do it. So after playing around with it for a half hour, 45 minutes, you'll understand the workflow. Very simple. Just speak into the microphone, hit record, hit stop, export it out to your desktop, upload it into anchor.fm. And once you have them taking care of all of your distribution, which is the hard part, and that is the thing that used to be confusing for people. How do I get it to go out to iTunes? How do I get it to go out to Google? How do I get it to go out to all these places? And they take care of it for you. And if there's a problem, they have a fairly good support team. I was having some problems with iTunes, and so they helped me sort those problems out. They've been really good about it. Next thing you know, you have a podcast. Then you have a link, and you can start sharing that with your audience. And if you don't have a very big audience at first, you continue to grow it and just keep speaking about what you want to speak about on a daily or a few times a week or a weekly basis, however often you want to do it. Hopefully this was some help to you. I hope that it gives you an opportunity to understand how powerful your voice can be, and that no matter who you are, no matter where we are, no matter how basic our equipment is, we can have a voice and share it with the world. This is a really important concept. If we have a voice, we have something we want to share with the world, we can do it. If you found all of this helpful, do me a favor. Subscribe and hit the little bell button, because we come out with videos every week, and I know that you'll find something of value on our channel. We will leave some links below of the different stuff that we use to make our podcast. We'll keep it super simple and super economical so that you can get going. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, leave a comment below, and we will make a video just for you.